So we are very happy here for the second webinar of the World Migratory Bird Day training. And we are here, all the coordinators across the Americas, Leticia Andino, who coordinate the program in Central America. We also have Laura Babula, who is our coordinator in the Caribbean, and also our Mexican coordinator, Daniela Souza, who will help us guide this webinar today. So we are very happy having you here. Please, Tim, do you have something to share with the public?
Claro que sí. Bueno, como muy bien lo ha mencionado Miguel, estamos muy contentos de
Yes, as Miguel has mentioned, we are quite happy to get started with this second webinar. We're going to listen to some very interesting information on how to organize an event. And also, we're quite excited to hear about the different activities that will be happening in Central America on the World Day for Migratory Birds. And so for those that are interested in collaborate as ambassadors to take educational resources or binoculars to all those regions in Central America, you can go ahead and contact us and we can get organized. And in that way, you will be supporting the education program for the conservation of migratory birds. So may you be very welcome to this webinar, and we hope that we can get to learn more about this program and so that you can execute it in your events.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Good night. I'm Laura from the Caribbean, Trinidad and Tobago, to be exact. And I am the World Migratory Bird Day Coordinator for the Caribbean. And the team and I, we're really, really happy to have you all join us today in the webinar. And we hope that you all learn something from our webinar series throughout these next couple of weeks. And we look forward to the Birds Caribbean Conference that's coming up in July. And we hope that we can see some of you all from the Caribbean attending there. And we may have a really special announcement to make at the conference. So something really exciting to look forward to. Okay, I hope you all enjoyed the webinar today. Thank you.
Gracias a todos, Tim. Entonces, sin más preámbulos, vamos a iniciar el
Thank you, everybody. Without any more introduction, we're going to give the mic to Daniela Souza, who's the coordinator from Mexico, and she will be taking it on from here. Thank you, Daniela, and may you have a great webinar.
No te escuchamos, Dani.
Oh, we cannot hear you.
Muy bajito.
It's very low. Can you hear me better? Now we can better. I was trying with some AirPods, but I guess it's not working. All right, welcome to everybody. We're very happy that you're here. We had a brief recess due to holidays last week.
You have a great holidays. Also, to remember that we have the interpretation channel. If you want to change to English, I will be presenting in Spanish. Bueno, voy a comenzar la presentación en español. Hoy tenemos unos invitados muy especiales desde México.
Okay, we have a series of guests from Mexico. These are coordinators that have been helping with this World Day of Migratory Birds for many years. But first, I want to show you how to organize our events for World Day Migratory Birds in different parts of the world. So today, we just want to tell you a little bit more about how to organize WMBD events. Well, welcome. My name is Daniela Souza. I am the coordinator of these events in Mexico. As you know, this is an an annual campaign that is trying to bring awareness about the importance of conserving migratory birds. And each year we send different topics, and we also invite artists from different areas and regions of Latin America and the world. So to remind you a little bit about what we do, even though every year there's something new, we try to always bring back the years from the past about the different topics, just the way every of these topics is important to bring awareness. So last year, we were talking about the importance of birds and the species. Then the previous year, we had the topic on plastics and the single-use plastics and the importance to let go of that materials. And we were trying to remind everybody about the importance of these topics. So for 2020, how to connect with birds in our world and everyday world, and also the importance of nature. For 2021, it was about reconnecting, and for 2022, the topic was the luminous contamination, and this is a topic that also brought about a lot of controversy, and it showed us a lot about how we can actually help quite easily by making a few changes in our homes. In 2023 was the topic of water, of course, a very important topic, but it also affects not only humans, but the birds as well. The idea is that, each year we take on different species and the connection they have with the topic, and of course with conservation and the importance of knowing about this connection. So, as you know, this year is protect insects, protect birds, and this is the beautiful poster. And we try to introduce a series of insect species and their importance for birds. So to remind you a little bit, the dates for celebration of migratory birds is the second Saturday of May or second Saturday of October. These are the established dates, but if you have your migratory birds visiting you in different times of the year, and you find that particular date important to your community, then you can go ahead and do the celebration on that date and bring awareness on the importance of birds. So every year, what we do is provide a small grants. They're called Happy Kids. And we provide a material, educational material, mainly for the Americas and the Caribbean. And our small kit provides materials for about 30 to 50 people, and we have a larger one that includes materials for 100 participants. And we have things like masks that we can paint, some wristbands, stickers, pins. It's just a series of events that you can share during your events. And another thing that we have available for you, that maybe your event is about to happen and you haven't received the Happy Kits, or you haven't actually requested them, then you could go and find the online resources, which are also quite valuable and important. A lot of people like to print this page for coloring. Many of the species we are sharing for this year, for example, insects and birds. And so we have a series of different images that are related to the topic. And one thing that we like a lot, and here's the link, we're going to be sharing that on the chat either right now or later. And this is basically the link for the online resources, and you can be taken straight up into it. Again, all the material this year is also available, as well as the material from previous years. So this makes it quite accessible because that way you can also see the things that we did in previous years and their importance. And again, we have these online resources that are also on this link by Trello. And in that space, you can interact with the materials. You can download it in a very dynamic way. It also provides a series of images and infographics. For example, there's one that shows you the importance about certain insects for birds. Here on the left side, information about certain birds, about certain regions. It also explains about some of the species of insects and the different images from a species. And again, all kinds of materials that you can use to promoting your websites and digital spaces. So, for example, the background that we have, if you want to, for example, have a webinar, you can acquire it here so that you can have that as background during your Zoom call. So this material is available online. What is an infographic? This is one of them. It just shows you simple actions to protect birds and insects. You go ahead and download it and share it during your event and distribute it. This infographic gives you about eight ways to help as simple actions, right, to help birds and insects. So it's about, for example, how to put together friendly gardens for them, how to leave the leaves that fall on the ground for a little while for refuge for them, for shelter, and also to give nutrients to the soil. And it's a resource for both insects and birds. It also shows you how to support friendly agriculture with the birds. You can have friendly coffee, for example, coffee crops, and decrease the destruction of habitats, keep water clean for the species, and sharing the different networks and the importance of this type of work. And you can use this banner as well. Most of this material is available in English and in Spanish, and it is to help you share, according to the coordinators and the language that is used in the region. For example, here's a way to have a series of steps to promote and organize your event and to make it more successful. First, learn about conservation team. So this is also part of the work that we do in these webinars, to identify our audience, design our activities, determine the needs for a successful event, identify potential partners to make this a successful event, and of course, enjoying the fun and the educational activities. Sharing that it is beautiful, that it is fun, and that we're all learning. As a first step, and to expand it even more, make it a little more complete, it's about, how it is important to learn more about the topic of conservation. So this is important of the part of the work that we're doing here in this webinars, is finding the materials that we have available online, but also use trustworthy resources and sources of information. So second step, identify our audience. What is our target audience? How to make it more dynamic for children or for teenagers, more active for adults. How is it that adults like to listen about these topics? Or if it's for all ages. All ages like to have a dynamic activity involved, where they can do something together. either move or draw. The focus is on the audience. So this helps us all choose how we will put together our event according to our audience. As a third aspect, we need to take into consideration the name of our event first. The name that will highlight the topic of the year. Of course, migratory birds, but what a specific topic, and that it is seen throughout the activity so that people get interested in the topic. What is the objective of sharing this information? Well, in this case, is about this year is the importance of insects for migratory birds. So what kind of work would it be about only observing birds, but in this case would be observing the interaction between insects and birds. This needs to be addressed in a way that our audience of that activity in particular would best benefit from it, and take into consideration the different factors to make our event successful. If we're going to have enough resources available for all the people that will be arriving, consider the number of participants. It all depends really on how we're going to handle our event, how many people are going to be helping us so that everybody's tended for. And the activities, are we going to print material, how much material, the type of language that we will be using, if we want to maybe at any point have an interpreter or a translator, and where we're going to have it, May or October, or as I said in the past, other dates that are important for us. The peak time, the top time for migration of birds happens in October, and also in our case would be actually November. So it really depends on where you're at. Sometimes we want to have it in a very beautiful place, but sometimes it's not that accessible. We need to make sure that we give enough instructions for people to arrive and start seeing what is it that is best and easier for people to attend. As step 3 would be to determine the needs, right? We already talked a little bit about that. And if we're going to be using transportation, some kind of equipment, the required space. And in this case, if there's going to be dances, would there be live music? Do we need speakers? Do we need chairs? That it is not under the sun, that the people are comfortable, or at least not during the worst sun hours. And of course, financing, right? How much is it going to cost to produce this? Sometimes it's easier to work along with other people and not on our own. Sometimes it's not about this big equipment, and we want to do something simple but beautiful, and that's going to help us have a good event, right? And have a lot of audience, and just make sure that we are handing out important information and with high quality in the organization, and what's mainly important for people to become aware of. And for example, how are we going to show this importance of insects for birds? What is their relationship with them? And something, for example, that we always want to remind people is that they need to register their event in the map. This makes these webinars and these events very important because it allows people to project and see themselves attending it in different areas. Once you have registered, you'll see the description of each event, and this basically hands us the opportunity to know how many events are happening during the year. And that's how we can actually see that this has been successful, because we are in different regions of the world. And we also like to remind you to not forget about the topic of the year and include about that, specifically our logos and the materials that were created. Sometimes we're not aware of who's participating, and including the logos and the artistic materials helps a lot. So for example, make sure that we tell people what we're doing so people can relate to what the different activities that we're doing during the year, in this case, World Day and insects and birds in the relationship, and just making that relationship a lot more visible. And also to produce educational activities. So most importantly, as the last step, to enjoy the process, enjoy your activity. And we have seen that many have done very inspiring, creative things, and we feel very much inspired because they either do dances or contests, uh, bird watching contest, and it's always like very beautiful. And again, if you have any questions, or if you still have not celebrated World Day of Migratory Birds, we have different coordinators in different areas of the world. You can contact Daisy for the US and North America. You can contact Miguel Mata in South America. Marta Babula could be reached in Central America, Leticia Andino, and in Mexico, myself, Daniela Souza. So here are our emails, and this is how you can get in touch with us and participate, getting these happy kits and these mini grants. If you have any questions about how to register in the map, or if you're having any complications, we're here to help you. And in any questions you may have about this year's topic. And again, we're grateful to our allies and sponsors for everything that they've given us to support our World Day. And of course, everybody that has donated or given some kind of support. Again, this is just a quick presentation on how to put together your events. And we're going to have some guests later on to talk about how they celebrate. Let's see if they're already connected. So I hope that you have enjoyed this small introduction. If anybody has any questions that could be placed in the chat, or if you can ask by raising your hand, maybe. And if not, we can respond to them at the end. As I was saying, this is more of an introduction on how migratory birds develop. And if you have any questions, just let us know. Carla from Guerrero is saying, in order to request a happy kit, we just need to send an email. Yes, you can go ahead and send an email directly to our coordinator, and we will help you from there. They're also asking if you can give an idea, for example. Sometimes coordinators, what they do is to contact institutions, universities, governments, and of course they're supported in that effort. But others actually put together contests, and that supports their own organization. So now we're going to hear from people in Mazatlan who put together a festival, and we want to hear their experience and how come or what elements they see as important to be successful. So are you here with us?
Déjame buscarlo.
From Birdwatching Mazatlan? Precisely, they've put together a quite big festival. I think it's big, and it's very beautiful. Let's see, Ramon. Jose Ramon Avalos, is that you? Welcome. Yes, can you hear us? Yes. Perfect. Well, thank you very much, Danny. Thank you for everybody in the team Environment for the Americas for this opportunity. And for us that do not know us, this is Jose Ramon. I'm going to be sharing a presentation. Could you please help me? Because we have two screens. We weren't able to connect in the same computer. So we're connected in the cell phone and the computer. Can you help me with my other user who is also under Jose Ramon so I can share the screen? Okay, you are co-hosting both. Perfect, thank you. All right. Well, we're going to be sharing a little bit about our experience. As Danny was saying, we have put together a couple of festivals. One that I think was very nice. Well, both of them have been, but one was a little bigger. And we're going to talk about the difference on both. And here, let's get started. All right. So for the people that are listening to us and you don't know about us, my name is Gisela Cabanillas, and we want to tell you a little bit before we talk about these festivals. What is it that we're doing? Birdwatching Mazatlan. We mainly do 4 activities. First is citizen science. The second is a biological monitoring, where we monitor beach birds in shrimp farms, and we help Dr. Fonseca on that. We also give environmental education in different schools. We do that in an informal way, and we also do bird tourism. So these are activities that we've been developing along 4 years that this project has been alive and born in Mazatlan. So, as it was said in the very beginning, there's a series of topics that have been part of World Migratory Bird Day, and we have the opportunity to work with you on 2021 with the Sing, Fly, and Elevate Yourself as the birds. This is a campaign. We also had the Vital Water campaign for the birds. That was last year. And in each of these sayings and campaigns, we were doing a series of activities. For example, Canta, vuela y elevate as the birds. This is something that we put together to encourage people to go out and listen to the birds. Due to the pandemic, we weren't able to do a lot of activities, but we still held a series of small activities. They weren't massive, but they were happening. Here's are some of the pictures of some of the events where we were at, and these were smaller events. And by 2022, it was called Dark Nights, Safe Nights. And this was moving around where we were developing environmental cinema, and we were projecting documentaries or films that were related to birds and migration of birds. We started with the Messenger movie, where they talked about a series of birds that were being recorded at night, and to highlight the importance of migration and turning off the lights when they're not needed. We were collaborating with Sigma, which is a museum here in Mazatlan, along with other, I don't know if you can call them instances, as Grupo Patriótica and others. A private assistance point, is that how it's called? Okay, so this is a series of the peoples that were participating in this environmental cinema, and it was also about, throwing some ideas around, and so that people could be commenting on throughout each presentation, that they could comment with their opinion, and those attending will have the possibility to dialogue with the specialists throughout the years. During Dark Nights, Safe Migrations in Culiacan, this was a festival that was bigger. And this was during 3 days, where the first day there was some bird observation. But in the first day, there was a series of conferences too, where we had guests, specialists, bird specialists. We invited Alberto Lobato. He lives in Veracruz. We also invited Ana Maria Sorino and Dr. Heraldo Cruz, Juanita Fonseca. And so we had a great list of guests where they were sharing a lot of their knowledge according to their experience with birds. And this was truly a teamwork, because it's just too much work for just us to put together. So a series of groups were supporting us. So among this was the Culiacan Botanic Garden, and other groups that were present, and we will mention in a little while. For the second day, what we did was put together an environmental fair where we invited also a series of civil organizations and businesses, and we wanted to put together an agreement to support the work with the city council. So this is the secret weapon, right? To create these alliances, because we cannot do that on our own. So people were supporting us to send the letters. The Botanic Garden allowed us to use the whole plaza. As people know, the Culiacan Museum is quite big. And so we had a series of attendees that were able to look at birds, listen to storytelling under Alberto Lobato. And so other civil organizations from Sinaloa were present, and also others from the south and the central part of the city. So it was all about celebrating this topic, right? The people that were attending by the third day, there was an illustration workshop that Ana Maria Salina was supporting us to produce along these trainings. And this is what I was commenting, right? That there were a series of storytelling and trainings where Alberto was he just inspired us all with all the stories about migratory birds. And these are the people that attended the event and the festival. And these pictures come from a series of events that we have been putting together here in Mazatlan, precisely with the topic of dark nights, safe nights for migratory birds. Also, the Astronomical Society of Mazatlan participated, and it was very important to us because they were able to support this festival, and they were telling us not only light contaminates birds, but it also does not allow us to rest enough and develop better. And again, the Water World Day for migratory birds and the topic of water. So you already told us a little bit about our first festival, and we're participating in a series of cities, producing a series of activities. For the second festival that we put together here in Mazatlan, we made it a little smaller, but I think it had a greater impact. And why do I say this? Because, well, before that, last year, we were awarded by Environment for the Americas for all the work that we have put together in previous years. So once again, we are thankful for this great support, and we're quite happy about this award. So again, these lifted our spirits and made us think about doing something new, and it motivated us to do something better. And so throughout the year, something that is important is not just what we do as a festival is concerned. What we do is adopt the topic of the year completely so that we share that with people. So this is an suggestion, right? That you do this in every year because that is precisely the focus of Environment of the Americas, that the voice is heard at different areas and that each of us could bring this information to be used in different instances. So what we do is we basically hang all of this in the different events that we're at. And so for the end of the year in December, we put together this festival. As I was saying, in theory, it looked a little smaller because we decided to do it along with some schools that were already supporting us. It was 3 schools where we had already had certain relationship 2 years ago or from 2 years ago on. And we didn't make it as open. We basically invite people through invitation. And as you can see in the images, the participation was very nice because they've already sort of participated. We also had this custom party, and of course, children participating were, you know, in disguise. And so some of them just wanted their faces painted, but others went all the way. So when we saw these schools arriving with all these children playing different parts in disguise, so that was very, very sweet to see such response coming from children participating in the festival. So here again are the winners of the custom contest. This was also very nice. It was a very nice award as well. And again, the Sunday Festival, we invited other organizations to be in friendship with us and also to let them know the importance of water for both us and others involved. So we have involved other institutions to talk about this topic as well. We also had storytelling. We had a Guignol Theater method, as you can see in the pictures. And as you can see, this festival seemed smaller because we didn't make it up as a public invitation. We weren't able to receive people from, external to our students or even people from other coordinations. And it was quite rewarding. And talking about some of the questions, of course, we have challenges, right? Financing, funds. For a festival like this, we have to spend a considerable amount of money. But as Danny was saying, if it would have come out of our pocket, we wouldn't have been able to do this. So we came close with a series of institutions, and we also had this production committee because this allowed us to bring all these funds together. And it wasn't that much that people were actually giving us money, maybe a couple of them, because what they did was to share, physically at the moment. And so the city council gave us all the materials that we would need, like the tables and the makeshift roof. It was all given by the city council. And again, the botanic garden, just the renting of that garden for an event is quite expensive. But we were able to produce that. So I don't want to mention most of them because I'm surely going to miss one. So the idea was to join, right? We never did this on our own. On our own, it wouldn't have happened. It was teamwork. And so we kept looking
instaló todo el coffee break, ¿no? Entonces, como que poco a poco fuimos recaudando cosas. El faro también nos ayudó muchísimo, el faro de aquí de Mazatlán, es una IAP y nos ayudó mucho para el tema de los vuelos y de las estancias de las personas que invitamos de fuera, Ana María y Alberto Lobato. Entonces eso fue bastante importante, ¿no? Y bueno, les digo, no solo ellos, todos los que están aquí viendo de alguna u otra manera nos apoyaron enormemente, ¿no? Para lograr esto. Pues como tal la organización, ¿no? La organización es un reto porque pues nosotros podemos tener algo en la cabeza.
Organizing is quite a challenge because sometimes we can have something in our head, but having so many people involved could bring about a series of differences, and so we need to adapt and put together the event. And it's always helpful to have support from other organizations. We couldn't have done it on our own, but to work as a team becomes a challenge, right? Because sometimes people don't like teamwork, and so they rather work on their own. And of course, there's difficulties that come along with it, but it's definitely worth it in order to produce such a big event. So for the smaller event, well, this was less of an issue because there weren't that many people involved, so it was easier to organize. But nonetheless, we still had to do some teamwork with the people that supported us, people with their stands, and the city council also helped us with what we needed. And we need to be able to handle the challenges, right, for the well-being of the festival. And so at the end, maybe it's a little complicated, but let me guarantee you that this is totally worth it. Enjoy the festival, see how everybody's having a good time, and how is it that we're putting this together for them. And again, it's allowed us, to pursue environmental education. And what we're saying is like we are changing the wording from, Christianizing to birdizing. So every time that we have the opportunity, we mention this important day, this day for migratory birds, and of course the topic of each year. We continue promoting it. And again, we've had the collaboration from different sectors, from academics, sectors, civil society, universities, radios. So this is just a big opportunity to be able to reach so many people and so many organizations and collaborate with them. Here, what we did was to apply the saying, right? Birds connect our world. And they were saying, that birds have revolutionized us because they have connected us with different institutions, academia, people from different professions. The opportunities to collaborate are there, and the opportunity to bring about this exchange of both ideas and work, of course. And in general, that would be our participation. I don't know if you have some comments or questions, something that we can guide you with, Danny. I don't know what's next. Thank you so much. This is great presentation. Thank you for sharing your experience. And something that is very important here, as you mentioned, is as Ramon and Gisela were showing us what they did, the event could be small or big, but what matters is how you do it and how you share it, how you do these dynamics with people, and of course, the heart you put into it, right? That's what's beautiful about it. And there was a question out there. Was this knitting or embroidery? It was embroidery. Yeah, you were saying that it's not really about the date, right? We could keep working with this thing all year long. And of course, this event that was put together in Culiacan was on the 29th, 30th, and 31st of October, and it was put together in a elementary school. This happened in December, so it really doesn't matter if it's in May or in October. You could do it all year long, and of course, continue working on this topic and developing the best to your ability, and end up with a festival. But of course, it doesn't need to be in October. Yes, precisely. For the US and Canada, we search for the possibility to celebrate it in May. And of course, Latin America is September, October, and November, which is the months that they come back. So, but at the end, it really depends on you, and sometimes has to do with collaborations, and that's why the date can change. So again, congratulations, Ramon and Gisela. You are of great inspiration for all of us. Yes, this is recorded, and we will be able to share this with you later on. Well, there's a series of congratulations for your work and creativity in the chat. Yes, I want to also take advantage. I just want to congratulate everybody that has supported us. As I was saying, it's not just the two of us. Of course, it's two of us for the project, but behind all these events and support for these festivals, there's many people. And I don't want to mention everybody because I'm surely going to forget someone, but we just want to extend the congratulations to them because it was to and through them that we've been able to do this. And again, thank you for everybody that has supported us. Of course, that is the secret, to work as a team and collaborate, because one on our own, of course, is so much more difficult. So we need to put together this support network where we can actually collaborate. And as they're saying in the chat, as in the pandemic, a lot of things became digital, right? Or through networks. And so the collaboration was opened up to other regions and other people in the world where we could bring these activities together. And so Ramon and Gisela are showing how they put this together and the success they've had. So many congratulations. And again, it's so good to see that you do these things. As you were saying, pick up on previous sayings from previous years and just kind of put together this chain of important messages, right? For the protections of birds. Does anybody have any questions in the chat? A comment? I just see so many congratulation messages. Great work from Costa Rica. Project Esparsor de Semillas. There's also someone from the Antarctica connecting. Whoa. This is great. Congratulations. Thank you for sharing. Yes, success always goes along with the integration of alliances. For example, this big event, this is a question by Laura Jocelyn. Since where were you having to organize the big events along with other organization? Well, I don't remember exactly the date, but it was probably 4 to 5 months of participation. But sincerely, everything, as things happen, everything is left for the end. So this strong work was done probably about the Monday before the event or the date. And things can get delayed, and I do not recommend leaving everything to the last minute, because when that happens, we've had to do everything the month prior, and it just becomes harder. But for the financing, you have to, of course, not leave it till the end. There's a series of details that may be able to be solved in 2 months. But for example, if we're looking for food and lodge for a guest, we need to make sure that we have that with plenty of time, that either we do the reservation at the beginning of the year, which is the time that the companies or industries They don't call it, it's like their budget that's been calculated at the beginning of the year. So if you bring about your request, or and you say, well, I need this much money and I need to put together this festival, or I need you to help me with this list of items. So, the service or the money that you're requesting, they are going to be dispersing it, so, and taking it in consideration during the year. But if you go like 3-4 months prior the end of the year, well, it'd be very difficult for you to be able to gather what you need. So if we're going to get true financing, solid financing, you need to start doing it at the beginning of the year. And then, of course, you can leave some things to the end, things that could be solved in short term. So how do you put together this approach with people? Like, do you come about and say, we want to do this, and can you help us with this other task? Could you maybe guide the people a little more about that? Well, when it comes to institutions, some institutions already know us and they've worked with us and they know the kind of work we do. And truly, very few of them are new. And we started right away. I would say Cafe Marino. It was funny how it happened, because we met them at an event, we exchanged WhatsApp and phone numbers, and suddenly we had the project coming up, and I requested them. I just thought about requesting some support, and they said that they would, just through a WhatsApp. So, these are 3 people that we met when we were cleaning a beach, and we exchanged information, and then I requested their support, and they said, they responded right away, yes, and let me put you in contact with financing. And so they did, and we didn't have to go and introduce ourselves or anything. It was basically done through a WhatsApp. And about institutions that know us for a long time, well, we've met with them and we've requested meeting with them just to show them what we want to do. And they may request a budget about how they're going to support us. And so we do put together sort of a budget of what we need and what is it that we're requesting from them. We send that over email, and they either answer yes or no, or they tell us we can help you with this or that. But practically they've said yes. But of course, it's important, the community of companies, because they're always having to justify the kind of money that gets spent, and they have to basically have some sort of budget ready so that they know exactly what this funding will go to. Well, thank you so much. This experience in all of this has helped us all. And for those that are getting started, this is going to help you a lot. And I don't see any directed questions, but somebody said, I have a question for the end. What does Birdwatching Mazatlan has ready for 2024 for, bugs and insects? Do you have any idea? What is it that you're thinking about? If we tell you, it won't be a surprise. We do want to do something big here in Mazatlan. So again, it's going to be for the end of the year. And we've been sending a series of emails to some people in the world of birds. So yeah, and we hope that you could accompany us and that you can come here. And again, what we were saying, we're throwing ourselves to it, right? We still haven't been able to have acquire the funds, right? We haven't done the fundraising. It's going to be here in Mazatlan. Well, that's great. Congratulations. We're so excited to hear more about it. And so those that want to be there, make sure that you are preparing to go to Mazatlan. There was a question, couldn't more than one event be put together? Of course. Of course, you can always register what you've been doing, whether it's been done or it's going to happen, because sometimes we don't find out if you don't place it in the map. So please place your event on the map, and that way we know more about what's happening and we get to be in touch with the institutions and the associations of people that are putting the event together. Please place it in the map. It's very important for us to know in order to have also good numbers for our last report of the year and enough participation. Could you please share the link? They're saying that on the chat. Of course, we can share again the link of this organization. So again, very excited to what is coming with insects and bugs this year. Please share your knowledge and whatever information you have on this. We can produce very beautiful alliance with the specialists and people that work with them. Anybody else from the team has the link available? Okay, I see it. Thank you. Well, thank you, Ramon, Gisela. We're very excited for what this year will bring, and we'll be in touch. Thank you everybody in the team. And we always tell you, you do amazing work for everybody, for all environmental educators across Latin America. Receive an applause from us, and thank you again for the invitation. Thank you. Miguel, anybody from the team want to say a final words? Leti, Laura? Well, thank you for being here. We'll be so happy to see what is happening. It's going to be 6 weeks from now where we will be celebrating with the rest of the world on the conservation team, which is protecting birds and protecting insects. So thank you again, and we'll see you next time.